Howdy folks, TJ here. Let's talk about a very cool operating system that I've been interested in for a very long time. I've actually owned a license of it before, actually installed it on a computer before, sold that computer, and the way the licensing works, it goes with that computer, so I did all those things. But I finally have found the time to say I want to try it again, and I want to try it on the most powerful next-gen Amiga computer they make, called the AmigaOne X5000. Technically, mine's not the most powerful anymore, because I've only got the 020 version, which is a 2 gigahertz model. They have one that's a 2.2 gigahertz, I think, model, the 040. The Amiga ones are interesting. Some people may say, that's not a real Amiga. That's not a next-gen Amiga. My Power Mac, or Mac Pro, what did you call the 2.7 gigahertz G5s? Are those Mac Pros? Anyway, it is what it is. And I consider the AmigaOne a successor to the old Amigas of old. I don't care if you don't agree with that. It is what it is. That's my opinion. But there's operating systems that have this connection, and one of those connections is that you've got Amiga OS, which is currently at version 4.1 update 2, I guess is technically the last one they came out with. There's always that fun rumor of, oh, when are we going to get Amiga OS 4.2? In 2 more weeks. It's never happened. It may never I'm guessing it's never going to happen. I don't know. But an alternative operating system called MorphOS, which is from a group of people that love the Amiga. It was, I think, considered the blue camp. Is the red camp the Amiga OS 4, and the blue camp is Amiga, not Amiga, but MorphOS. I think that's it. Anyway, there's another operating system out there called MorphOS. And I actually owned it on an old Mac Mini G4. I purchased a license many years ago, used it on there, and sold it with the license to somebody else long ago. Then I acquired a awesome AmigaOne X5000, and last year I got the bug in me to finally make this a dual boot computer. Dual boot meaning I could boot Amiga OS, or I can boot another operating system, MorphOS. Technically, there's a third operating system. There is a Linux distribution that you can install, so I can make this a three-headed dragon if I want. I'm not ready to go there. I finally got off my keister, and I'm gonna say thanks to a gentleman named Matt. I'm just gonna say the word Matt, for kicking me in the keister a little bit, saying you should really explore MorphOS more, because you like Amiga OS. I've seen your videos, but I think you would appreciate some of the finer things of MorphOS. So after that, I started looking into it a little bit more, and it definitely, I'm going to say this word, I think MorphOS is a more sexier Amiga OS, for lack of a better word. It's almost like an Apple and an Amiga got together, had a little offspring, and some of that flair of Mac OS and Amiga OS got together. You'll soon see when I turn it on. That's the way I see it. There's a little bit of Mac in it, a little bit of Amiga in it, and it's MorphOS. I finally have a license. License means that it doesn't just run for 20 minutes or a half an hour and then all of a sudden turn off the speed and say, you need to license me, and it won't let you out of that screen. So if you want to use it, you're going to have to license it. So I got a license now, and I've got a dual boot system. So it's a little bit more unique. It's not the most powerful MorphOS computer. I think technically that would be the 2.7 gigahertz G5s that Apple used to sell is the most powerful. So everybody's saying if you want the real MorphOS super fast experience, that's what you would probably want to get. But I own an AmigaOne X5000. I'm running Amiga OS 4.1 update 2, mostly happily. So let's try installing, which I did, MorphOS on there. And if you watched my videos from last year, you see that I installed a secondary card because, unfortunately, the MorphOS doesn't have each of them have their pros and cons, right? Amiga OS, if you were to say, what's the biggest pro that it has over MorphOS. And that would be the use of a more powerful video card. You can stick a 580 in these, which is what I've done. And that's already, what, now a 7-year-old video card? But you can harness that because the video drivers on Amiga OS, in my opinion, are more powerful, more capable. They put some money into it, and they have a great video capability. So you can watch 4K videos or 1080p as well on an Amiga OS computer. Very cool. I don't think I've seen them running 4K videos on a MorphOS. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know. But the video cards are less of an option. So you can't boot and run MorphOS on a 580. So I had to get a secondary card, and it's a very old 1950 card, ATI 1950. But that's the one that some folks were using. So I put that in here, slapped it in. It looks really cool in here. So I've got 2 video cards. It is a loud airplane in my computer room now, unfortunately, because the fans on that 1950 are pretty loud. But anyway, I've got a dual boot system. And so why don't we boot up into MorphOS just so you can... And today's video is mostly, I've got it licensed. We're going to peruse the desktop a little bit, kind of see what it looks like. And then over time, I'll make more videos on, is my experience with MorphOS the same as Amiga OS? Better? Worse? I don't know. We're going to soon see together. It is new to me, so I'm going to probably be stumbling a bit. I don't really even know Amiga OS that well, to tell you the truth. Even though I've owned an Amiga OS 4.x computer for a long time, I don't use it enough to get knowledgeable about the ins and outs of it. I know enough to get in trouble. And so MorphOS is going to be even more. So let me wake up. I've got this all connected to a big 4-screen TV. So what's unique is the video cards. I have to change the HDMI port on this manually to go from Amiga OS, if I want to see its boot screen, over to MorphOS. And I miss out on the little Morph butterfly, I think, in my system. I don't know if there's a way to get that in my current setup, but we'll soon see. Anyway, what is in this? There we go, home button. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on the computer. I'm going to put it on HDMI computer, just so we can get into the early boot screen, and I can make sure, and I'll show you where you can select which operating system you want to use. So the boot screen for the Amiga One comes up, and as soon as it starts activating, gets animated, I'm going to hit the space bar on the keyboard to halt it up right here. And now I'm going to focus in on the screen so you can see it a little better. And we're going to boot into MorphOS. I'll move this in a little tighter. And focus in on the screen. Cool. Okay, good. So start Amiga OS. Start MorphOS. It even has a button for Start Linux, but I don't have, I said Linux in there. You've got boot options, so you can go in here and tinker with some things. To set this up initially to install MorphOS was definitely a bit of hoop jumping to make this a dual boot system, but thanks to Skateman, I've thanked you before last year when I made my videos, but he helped guide me to getting it installed. It does take a little bit to make it work. And to update, to boot up off of MorphOS, I got a new stick. So I started at 3.18. I recently updated it to 3.19. So let's go up and I keep wanting to use my Atari Mega keyboard because it's right here in front of me, but I'm using an Apple keyboard actually. So start MorphOS. I hit return, and this is where this comes up, and now I've got to go magically switch to a different HDMI port, HDMI 2, and voila, it's booted. It boots fast, and here is the desktop of MorphOS. I've changed nothing. This is the standard desktop experience that you will see, and it's fairly simple. Up on the top, I've got my MorphOS, a trash can, RAM disk, MOS, which stands for MorphOS, and then networks. What's cool about this, out of the box, you can access a NAS. Now, unfortunately, with an AmigaOne X5000, there is a hiccup, and I've reported it. And I don't know if no one else with a Mac Pro or G5, I'm just going to go G5 Mac Pro, experiences this. So I think this is unique to the AmigaOne X5000. You know, there's not thousands and thousands of AmigaOne X5000s out there. We got to look at it that way, unfortunately. So I'm thinking the level of testing that they can do with the few people that may own it that are devs. I don't know if any devs own an X5000 anymore. I don't know. I've actually asked, I joined their Discord, and actually one dev did, but no longer. So I don't know. Do any devs, if you're watching this, MorphOS folks, are there any devs that still actually use and test an Amiga X5000? I don't know. It'd be nice to know. Anyway, so the desktop is very simple, and I've installed a couple of things already, but this is pretty much the way that it comes. And if you just move around the screen, to get up on the top menu or status bar, you'll see that it says ambient screen up top. Let me make sure that it is coming in well enough. I may turn off the light back here, and it might make this screen pop a little bit more. Let me enlarge it a tad. You know, it is what it is. This is not, I'm not going to be doing any HDMI ripping or anything like that, but this will show you well enough, I think. So to get up to the top, you actually have to click the right mouse button, and then it gives you the ambient menu. This, I believe, is called ambient. Ambient. This desktop. I like just calling it a desktop. This is my desktop. But anyway, the ambient screen. I keep saying ambient. It's ambient. Ambient. Anyway, if you click on here, you've got a different MyMorphOS. You've got a execute command. You've got a shell. About MorphOS. Let's just go ahead and bring up about a screen here. And ambient, the MorphOS desktop. This is version 1.47, and it's got some nitty-gritty about it. This screen looks like it could be a mix between Amiga and Mac a little bit into my eyes. Let's go up and click on About MorphOS, and you'll see here that I've got version 3.19, and this is a registered to Thomas Ferreira. That's me. So I've got an official licensed version now. And this top status bar has your typical options. So we've got the ambient, edit, view, icons, utilities, which gives you a system monitor, system log, exchange, format, disk, find, and then settings. Just like with Amiga, I find for me, the screen modes and the settings, you've got two different places you got to go to for these things, which I personally think I don't like for me. So in Amiga OS, I've got to go to screen modes and then other settings. I don't know why it's just not all in one place. Maybe there's a reason for it. But anyway, you've got settings for ambient, ambient MUI, and a system area, and an MUI. You've got all these different places for settings. I don't know why there's just not one globally that does it all. But to me, that's it trips me up a little bit in the world of Amiga, because look, you go to this one. Here's ambient, and you've got backgrounds, icon display, miscellaneous, CLI launch. You've got all these things over here that you can tweak, and then you go up and do it again, and then the MUI. Did it bring up something? There we go. So it's got all these that you can now adjust and modify to do what it seems like similar tasks, similar things. And Amiga does the same thing. It's like, why do you have all these places for similar things? And then you go up and then you got a system one, which this is where, to me, this looks more Mac OS. You've got your normal screens, blanker, sound, fonts. You've got network stuff, user interface stuff, system stuff, device stuff. But user interface, we were just in those ambient, and it had them too. So Maybe I'm talking loud. But that's where I think some of this makes it a little bit less user-friendly. Too many options means people scratching their heads. And that's what I do, because I go, well, where do I change this? Is it in this one? Is it in that one? And then sometimes you're going to change it in both. It seems like it gets a little confusing. But anyway, so here's the main ones where you could set the time. You've got keyboard settings, USB settings, mouse settings, and all that stuff. And then, was there one more? I forget. Yeah, and then there's MUI. So was that the same one as that other one? When we clicked up here, I can't even get in it anymore. Oh, there we go. Setting. What was it? Ambient one. So you've got this one and this one. So there's settings and then preferences. What's the difference? Preferences and settings to me seem the same thing. But you've got info screen. It looks like all the same stuff. Why is there two ways to get into the same thing? I don't know. It just, again, it confuses me. So enough about that. So you got to click the right mouse button to get up here to tinker with settings. And I've been up in these already. Then down here are double clicks to open up My MorphOS. We'll bring up this. Trash can over here. Nothing in there. A RAM disk, which is very similar to as good old... I've got a RAM disk on my Amiga system, so if you want to download something and send it there first before your hard drive, anyway, RAM disk is still an option. Then you've got MOS, MorphOS. And so you got this one, which is similar to my MorphOS, but a little bit different at the same time. Let me close some of these. So you can kind of see this one's got DEVS, devs, and you see a few things over here that you don't see here, but over here you could right click and view all, and then you see them all, and it's got some of the same ones. So again, maybe two ways to chomp at the same tail. Anyway, that's what it is there. And then there's networks. Let me go ahead and open networks. I find this a cool addition over AmigaOS, because AmigaOS, can you connect to a NAS? Yes, but then you gotta download this stuff, and you gotta do all these settings, and then it's not user friendly to make it work. This was double click on networks, and it automatically sees my NAS. Now, unfortunately, with an AmigaOne X5000, it has issues. If it's a small file, it transfers. A little slow, but it transfers. If it's a larger file, and I'm not talking large here, I'm talking 80 megabyte, it gets stuck. It gets stuck in a rut, and it can't do it. And it just, it can't do it. Let's just put it that way. And so I reported it over on the Morph Zone, which is a forum. Did I start this recording? I'm going to trust I did. And I reported it. And one of the devs has been quite helpful. You know, he kind of said, do this, do that, do this. He had me get into Shell and type in a command. When I did that command, he wanted to be able to see something from it. But what happened is I was then able to transfer a larger file. Slowly, but it worked. Where before it wouldn't work. So now hopefully they know enough to say, why is this AmigaOne X5000 hanging at an 80 megabyte file that it can't transfer unless we go into the shell and type this command first. Hopefully they find it, because for me to use this MorphOS daily, I need connectivity to my NAS. If not, it's not going to be used. That simple. I'll just tinker with it like my Amiga system, Amiga OS. But yeah, if I can't access a NAS religiously and somewhat speedily, it's a lost cause for me. So hopefully they actually find a fix, and I don't have to type something in shell to just transfer a file back and forth between it. But it was nice. You're able to double click on NAS, and it brings up all the info. And I was able to transfer stuff back and forth. Again, with the AmigaOne X5000, there was a hiccup, but apparently it's not happening to folks with MorphOS on a G5-based system. So anyway, that was a cool addition. So Pro, instant network access without a headache of setting stuff up. It was just there. So that was a big points for them. So those are the main screens there. some stuff. So if you want to do something, you go into MorphOS. Here's your main folders. You've got applications, classes, devs, docs, games, prefs, tools, utilities, WB startup, and MorphOS. Some of this has a very Amiga OS feel to it. You've got a devs folder, and if you open that up, you can see data types and DOS drivers. So you can tell it's got lineage from the world of Amiga side of things. So this part feels Amiga, but then the settings screen is very, to me, it feels Mac OS-y to me. So you got kind of the best of both worlds, I guess. Anyway, so let's close this. So let's reopen this. And let's go in. Let's check out applications. So applications, it comes with quite a bit of stuff. I haven't tinkered with everything. I have installed AMI IRC, or their IRC application for MorphOS. I've already started connecting to IRC networks, which I like. It's got a PDF program, a benchmark, Flacapella, I don't know what that is, Flow Studio, Hex, Iris. Iris, I think, is that an email application? I'll have to tinker. But anyway, Iris. Jalapeno, Cryptos, LCD monitor test, Log Tool, R desktop. I did try this. I couldn't control my Linux computer from it. It had some hiccups, but anyway. Remote Shell, Scandal, Showcase, Sketch, Synergy, Transfer, VNC Server, VDPF, Wayfarer, which is their web browser, a Wayfarer 5, which is the version that came with this, but I've downloaded a newer version, which is 9 point something. Z or ZVNC, and Pim Pam Poom. I don't know what that is. Anyway, let's load up Wayfarer, because I think this is the other huge bonus of MorphOS over Amiga OS. Their browser is much better. Wayfarer is a much more powerful web browser than anything on the Amiga platform. Does it match up to something on my Mac OS modern computer or an iPhone? No. In terms of speed, no. There's some people that are running the Apple G5 version of things, and they say they get through stuff. I don't believe it unless I see it. I want to see somebody go to Wayfarer on a G5, the most powerful one you can, go to YouTube and watch even a 720p video, and it be like that. Do that, and then I'll believe you. If you can't do that, then this architecture, this world of alternative operating systems, it's fun, it's a hobby, it can be used daily, but if you want to hop on the YouTube for work and quickly peruse a video that somebody did about their new product that you need to watch, and it take 10 minutes to just load up, you've got a problem. If it does it readily, you don't have a problem. I can't do that readily, because right now I haven't tweaked any of the settings. My friend Matt did say if you adjust these settings, at least for him, he runs the G5. He says things work pretty well. But let's launch Wayfarer. It is definitely better than Oddity. We call it Oddity in the world of Amiga OS. It's Odyssey. That hasn't been updated for eons. And it's much better than any of the other iBrowsers and all these other things. And so let's just go to someplace. I don't know where. So this is bringing up the MorphOS page. Just for sake of doing it, let's go to Overview. So you can see, I clicked on it. It brings things up pretty speedily. Features. Help Desk. Help Desk. Is there not a Help Desk? Oh, there we go. Okay, it was a little slow on picking things up. And I'm on fiber internet. I've got 1 gig speed, so it's definitely not an internet speed issue. This is inherent to however the AmigaOne X5000 and the software all gets jived in. So where any bottlenecks are, I don't know. But if you go to, for example, testmy.net, testmy.net. It is a basic version of a speed test for a web browser. And we're going to test a download where if I do this exact test on my Mac OS computer or a Linux computer, even if those computers are 10 years old, 2014 on some of them, I get 900 megabits per second speed. But if you do that on an AmigaOne X5000 in Amiga OS or MorphOS, it's different. So let's test my download speed. This is probably where the drivers and the maturity of them come into play, but you'll see speed-wise, it's just a different world compared to, I'm going to call it the real world, where you click on something and you expect it within a few seconds. Testby.net, 11 megabits per second. 11. Okay? So in a real world, that may be why going to a YouTube or something like that just doesn't happen. For some, that's a fast internet. For somebody that's got 1 gig speeds, that is not fast. If you run a Mac OS computer, on iPhone, if I do the same test on an iPhone, I get in the 900s. We're talking 11 here. So it's just a different world. But in terms of the Amiga world, this is pretty good, because if I run the same testby.net on Amiga OS, I get 4 to 5 to 6. On this, I'm doubling it. So the world of MorphOS and Wayfarer and its WebKit, I guess, based web software, I'll call it, is much better than Odyssey is. But anyway, so a real world thing. I have to go on the YouTube for work because I do post videos. We need to make sure everything looks good. So if you go to youtube.com, you are being directed to youtube.com. It's thinking down here. I'm getting my real world stuff out of the way because I want to just explore some other things as well. But one of the reasons why I wanted to get MorphOS is because I do need to have good web access to some modern things that Amiga OS doesn't cut the mustard. And so you can see it's very slow. It hasn't even brought up the graphics yet. Now, maybe on a G5 with your settings tweaked, you can do much better. But we're just going to go up here for the sake of doing it. Let's find one of my videos because I don't want any copyright thing. Let's put TJ Amiga. TJ Amiga return. It should bring up one of my videos, I would think. It's slowly thinking. Again, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to cut down MorphOS. I'm just trying to show you real world experience that I'm getting out of the chute with AmigaOne X5000 running MorphOS 3.19 with a 9.0 Wayfarer. So here's me. Let's go ahead and click on the video on the link. Big black screen. So you can hear stats. So it's playing a commercial. There is no video. It's got choppy audio. And we're on 2 of 2. It's cutting all out. So again, this is. TJ here. It's been a while since and I clicked on this to maybe change the resolution down, but it's so choppy. There we go. It's on 360p. Go to OS4 Depot and just peruse. I think I've said enough. Okay, so let's get out of YouTube because the YouTube experience for me is not good. I couldn't do business with this. Now, I am going to try the settings that Matt gave me that he uses on his G5. Let's just go to google.com. Play a little bit of an Amiga game, and I would load it up and try it. So, but the web browser, in terms of everyday other stuff, not mission critical stuff, seems to be fine. I can go to Google, and I can actually on this one, I went to Gmail. It was very slow. I don't want to go on there now because you've already seen the stuff. So anyway, basic everyday average ordinary stuff. Maybe some of you go to Yahoo still, yahoo.com, maybe to get your current news. So I'm going to yahoo.com. And it's got some Elon Musk here. You know, it's working. And say I wanted to I want to read about Aaron Rodgers. Click on that. There's some dead time here. But, you know, it is crunching through it. Was that a video link? I hope not. So it is working, and it's bringing stuff up. But YouTube out of the chute, no. I will play around with the settings. I don't hold my hopes high that it's going to work for me in terms of that. But anyway, maybe there's alternative ways to watch YouTube. On Amiga OS, for example, there's a new program called Video Vortex that does allow you to, on my AmigaOne X5000 running Amiga OS, find a video and play a 720p perfectly fine pretty quickly. So, but going to YouTube's website's a different story. So anyway, that was Wayfair. That's their web browser. So you've got other applications in here. I really haven't explored much, but you've got other applications. Let's find something else, and just for the sake of doing it, a PDF. Obviously, that must be a PDF viewer. A PDF requires an Alt. Okay, so this is not. So this doesn't have AltiVec. AmigaOne X5000 doesn't. So I can't apparently use this unless there's another version someplace. Maybe that's why they put VPDF on here. Okay, yeah. So this appears that I can probably open PDF documents. Okay, I don't have a PDF on here, but anyway, what is Flockapella? Maybe a CD ripper? No CD drives found. I don't have a CD drive on here. That's true. Okay, so at least that worked. Iris. Let's go ahead and double click on this. I don't know what this is. Yeah, so this is an email application. I would need to set this up, but apparently this works very well for email, so that's cool. Check for startups. I would just want to quit out of this. I don't want to screw up my first time settings, but it looks like it can handle Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo Mail, and IMAP. So cool. Let's go ahead and quit that. Back up one. Another one. Iris. Jalapeno. What's jalapeno? This must be another drop files, ISOs, or optical medium to begin. This must be some type of ripper or something. Okay, cool. So it's coming with an assortment of cryptos. Maybe that's some way to decrypt and files that you don't want other people to read or something. Log tool, remote shell, scandal. What's that? They got some fun names for this. Oh, this must be a scanner application. That's cool. Now, whether it would work with my wireless scanner is to be seen. I do use scanning with AirPrint on Amiga OS, which has been a recent thing from last year. That works very well. So if there's a way to do that wirelessly through my network, my device is an HP, it's wireless. If I can do scanning from that, that would be cool. It's something I'll explore. So let's get out of that. Showcase must be some type of viewer, picture viewer, video viewer. It takes up the whole screen. Oh no, how do you get, can I quit out of this? Display, shrink to fit display, zoom, channels. Yeah, this is some, can I escape out of this? There we go. I don't know what it is. Showcase, sketch. This must be a sketch program. Yep. Okay, very cool. Sketch program. I want to quit. Yep. Okay, back out of that. One more time. Synergy. I think that's where you can share keyboards and mice and stuff with other devices. Maybe. Transfer, VNC server, VPDF, Wayfair we've already played with. Let's just double click. I don't know what this is. Is it something you can click on? Apparently not. I clicked on it and it didn't do anything. I double clicked. So no, it's a data type. Okay. I don't know how it got there and if it's supposed to be there. Maybe I put it there by accident. Classes. It's got all your typical classes. This is where the Amiga OS side of things is kind of popping into the picture. You've got one place for all your documentation. Well, there's some PDFs in here, right? Wasn't there? Where's those docs? Will it automatically open this PDF? Yes, it did. Nice. Okay. So a PDF viewer is here. Nice. Okay, I can open up PDFs. That's something I will need to do for work. That's cool. Games. They never include any type of Doom or something really interesting, but they got Diamonds, Minesweeper, Pixel Cross, and Wordy. Let's just load up Diamonds. So it's got a game. You can hear my sound works, so that's good. It's handling my sound output for my AmigaOne X5000. And so a fun little game to kind of get the juices flowing, and then now I want to go download something different. But that's cool. They included a game. So let's get out of that. Prefs. This is, again, a side that I can kind of feel. It looks like you could put different skins and stuff in here. Tools. This is where kind of Amiga side, you've got your typical tools, formatters and stuff like that in here. I'm not going to show too much of that right now, but that's how you get in there. Utilities. Again, here's a whole bunch of utilities. You've got a clock, and now I've got a clock up on the desktop. Okay, cool. So you've got some utility things in here. Thermals. How hot stuff. This architecture is not currently supported by thermals. So apparently, this is where having an AmigaOne X5000 running MorphOS with, I'm going to say, limited people running an AmigaOne X5000 with MorphOS, there may be some things that it just doesn't work with. I guarantee that's probably going to work with your G5s and G4s on the Mac side of things. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. But on an AmigaOne, you're going to fall behind maybe at some point. So anyway, some utilities. Startup folder. It looks like you could maybe slap things in here and it will, I don't know if it will automatically launch them at startup time, but anyway, it's called WB Startup and then a README file. So that's all the nitty gritty. This is kind of what I wanted to, let me show you a couple other things. So I did install a couple things. Up over here on this, you probably don't see this too well, but if you click on these little icons, go down the modules, you got all these modules you can have inhabit the top menu bar, things that you may find of importance. I went ahead and turned on the CPU monitor and net lamps, which were things that the dev that was helping me with my net transfer issue, I wanted to see what was happening, so I turned those on. But I also did this app launcher one. I downloaded app launcher, so I have explored downloading programs on MorphOS, and I grabbed this one, and this is a shortcut to be able to click on this, go down to applications, and it shows all my applications, shows you all my games, utilities, and tools. So instead of having to go over and double click on MorphOS and find it, I don't have a dock yet installed, so I can just click on this, go down to applications, and launch VPDF. I wanted to launch Wayfair. Go down to applications, Wayfair, and it will launch Wayfair. Just a quick way to kind of launch some key things. So anyway, I don't want to be negative about it, but I'm trying to find a reason for me to use Amiga OS still after 16 years now, since 2010. And then now MorphOS. I've got the license for it. Is there a reason I would use this for everyday work? I need YouTube. I need it reliably and quick. The odds are against me that I'll get that. Maybe, again, there's a video vortex type of thing that you can grab that will actually allow me to quickly watch videos on YouTube. But going to youtube.com, you saw what was happening. Are there some settings I can tweak to maybe improve it? Probably, but I don't hold that too big of a possibility at this point. Maybe it'll speed things up and make it a little bit usable, but anyway. So again, I don't want to be negative about things, but AmigaOne X5000, I love it. It's a fun hobby machine, but for everyday work, I need to go to Google. I need to access Google Drive. I need to bring up the Google applications for Word and Excel files. I need to be able to watch videos and do those basic things to get through working at home successful. And that's why I use a Mac or a Linux computer. Can I somehow learn how to be able to do that on MorphOS? That's what I'm going to be exploring. So I just, getting things set up, installed, licensed, and running. Now comes tweak time. Can I get MorphOS to do something where I can use it daily and sit here? And no, I don't want to run the R desktop application and run a different computer just to be able to sit at this one. I think that's cutting corners. It's not really this computer doing it. It's the other computer doing it. But I would like that capability to be able to access things on the fly. That's cool. But I want to be able to do it natively on this. And I'm hoping email, I don't think it's a problem. Video browsing at least 720p religiously, that's where I'm going to take my next quest on. If I can do that from here somehow, that will be a good thing. MorphOS has pros and it's got cons. In the world of Amiga, I think they're very similar. Amiga OS and MorphOS are on similar playing fields. This one has web browsing capability much better than Amiga, but it's not on par with anything else I use daily for mission critical work. But in the world of Amiga, it's actually pretty good. Networking out of the box, I was able to access my NAS. Unfortunately, again, the AmigaOne X5000 doesn't do it too well, but there's a little workaround. I could probably type that shell stuff in and be able to do it, but again, that's a little bit of a nuisance. If they could fix that, well, that's a cool thing. Out of the box, I was able to do that. On the Amiga, no. I'd have to download this SMB program, and I think I tried it once, and I couldn't get it set up right, and it wasn't working. So, yeah, anyway. But the Amiga side, if I want to play a 1080p video or a 4K video, I could do that because the video drivers on the Amiga side is much better. It'd be wonderful if the two sides found a way to come together and make one do all, like Amiga had Wayfair and the MorphOS side had the video capability, video drivers. What a beautiful marriage that would be. But I'm talking crazy now, aren't I? It's been decades. They're not going to probably ever do it. But I'm just a hobbyist. I'm here to have fun. Am I excited to have MorphOS now? Licensed version, yes. I want to explore it. I don't want to be timed out. I want to tinker with some things. And I'll report back my honest findings, good or bad. And I'm happy today to say I've got a dual boot AmigaOne X5000, getting me into the best of the AmigaOS side. And MorphOS side, I don't think it's the best, because the best would be having a 2.7 gigahertz G5 for speed, for compatibility. I'm already seeing some hiccups on the X5000 side, which I don't think are found on the Apple side. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. It's a long one, I know. But if you own an AmigaOne X5000, yes, you can dual boot in the two very cool operating systems. For some, you might be able to crunch and use this for daily work. Everybody's got different tolerance level and what they need to do. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day. And MorphOS, thumbs up. AmigaOS, thumbs up. I'm happy to own it, and I'm happy to have it as a hobby box. So thanks for watching. Bye.